Hey, what's up, family? This is Tyronne McCreary. We are back with the Fuel Network. Man, we have some awesome people. You know who these two amazing ladies are. To my left, my wife, Tonya McCreary.
Hey.
Amazing creative entrepreneur and influencer on the rise.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll do
and
that.
we have Nadene Long, man, entrepreneur extraordinaire. Is really killing the game right now. And then we have a special guest with us today. My brother, Tim Macy, man, so excited. This man is a team and growth leader extraordinaire, right? We're going to put it out there and say it that way.
Absolutely.
And so we're excited because we're going to talk about something, you know, on our last episode, we talked about the importance of starting, right? And then we kind of went into a little conversation on consistency or discipline, but we really didn't get into it. And I'm excited because, man, to have Tim with us here today to kind of talk about this, and hopefully it will, just inspire those that are watching right now and challenge them, because I think it's so important. Well, we do know that once you get started, then you got to keep going, right? But if you're not careful, you don't want to keep going doing the wrong things, you know? For sure. I'm excited, man, because I think we're going to have a great conversation today as we kick off talking about the journey to discipline, right? As an entrepreneur, as a creative, as an influencer, someone who just really wants to take things to the next level in what they're doing, whether you're owning a business or even if you're positioned in some type of influential position or leadership position, man, we want to speak to that. So Tim, man, welcome on to the Fuel Network.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
I mean, you guys are some of my favorite people here in San Antonio. I'm just like, I want to add some value. I really want to be as tactical as possible and give some people some real good things they can leave with and implement in their lives. But I got to tell you, I could just sit here for a couple hours with y'all because I just love hanging out with you. So I'm happy to be here,
man.
You know?
I mean, we're definitely so glad to have you here. You know, we're just trying to add value. That's what this is all about. This is what the Fuel Network is, man. It's adding value to people who just want to make an impact with their lives, with their creativity, with their businesses. And just do the God-given things that they've been graced to do. So, man, having said that, man, we want to hear a little bit about, and I know these ladies, they know you well.
I was like, wait, before we jump in, we have a lot to say.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, Tim is probably one of the hardest working people, like, in San Antonio.
Pioneer for sure.
Yeah. And not just, you know, when people think hardworking, I mean, but he gives so much. I've known, we started real estate around
to people,
the same time.
Community.
Yeah. His heart is just huge. And you talking about leading, like how many people are on your team right now? Because I think I've asked you this like a while ago, but the number keeps growing and I can't even keep up.
So, we have two teams. We have our team in San Antonio that helps our clients buy and sell houses. That is my wife, 2 agents, myself, a TC, and Brett's our videographer. I'm putting him on the team. And then we've also helped grow our brokerage and bring agents to our brokerage. And I think by the end of the year, we should be at about 1,000 agents. And so,
Did you hear that? 1,000. Now that doesn't come by just happenstance.
Come on, no.
Wow. You've got to work hard and be diligent and be disciplined and consistent in order to grow a team. Because you have them all over the place. Like, they're not just in San Antonio, it's all over.
It's all over. But it's funny listening to you, and I think this is what, you know, kind of sets the table for what we're going to dive into. It's funny hearing you guys say that stuff because when you talk about discipline, I am not someone who is naturally disciplined. I'm an artist, right? Like I'm
creative. You're always thinking.
I'm an artist.
Yes.
I get ideas. I get distracted, and I look at people that are disciplined. Right. I look at people that are disciplined, and I get very jealous because if I just, you got to talk about all the stuff that I do, but I think about all the stuff that I don't do and all the more things I could do, and I'm like, man, if I was only more disciplined, I think I could do it. But I have implemented things in my life. And I think it's more important when you're like me to have things in place if you're not naturally disciplined. Like I'm in coaching. I'm in a coaching program. And it's been great for me. I've got some other buddies that are like, hey man, coaching program looks great. They join it and they're like, I'm wasting my money. Like, why am I here? I don't need somebody to tell me to make my calls. I don't need somebody to tell me what to do. I don't need somebody to put in place these accountability things because I'm naturally disciplined. That's not me. Like I need things in place. And so one thing I think I've been good at is being very self-aware and realizing, hey, look, I'm not going to be disciplined on my own. I need to surround myself with things that make me disciplined. Yeah. I don't need, honestly, one of the things I found too is I can pull back away from surrounding myself too much with creative people, because even though those are my people, I don't really need creativity. And that can be distracting, you know? So that's one of the things too. Right? Like we're always throwing new ideas out instead of executing on the ones we already can do.
That's
so
huge.
Let me ask this. I want to ask Tim this because I think you said that, and I think that's a very practical point. Then what I'm hearing is one of the first steps to becoming disciplined is to be self-aware.
Oh. Well, I think if you're talking about entrepreneurship,
right,
that's the first thing in everything, because I think that we have people working jobs that should be entrepreneurs, and we have people that are pursuing entrepreneurship that should be getting a job. And that is like the first thing to be is self-aware, because you may love the idea of entrepreneurship, but what you should really be doing is attaching yourself to an entrepreneur instead of trying to go out and do it on your own. And then there's other people that just like don't play as nice with others and need to go, right? They need to go like steer the ship and be the entrepreneur. And that's the question you got to answer first before we do anything.
That's good. That is good.
I haven't heard that one. That's a new spin on that one.
Let me tell y'all, go ahead and get y'all note paper, because Tim about to drop some nuggets. So, man, this is about to be awesome.
So have we talked about integrator operator?
No.
Okay.
No.
So, man, I don't know the book.
I don't know.
All right. So look, basically what every Steve Jobs has I don't know what Steve Jobs' dude was, but like every visionary dude has a operator as a Wozniak, right? Has an operator that executes those things.
Okay.
And so you have to figure out which one of those you are. And so me, as a person that has all these great ideas and as a visionary, I need to be able to attach myself to somebody that can go out and execute those ideas, or else I'll never reach my potential. Yeah. On the same hand, you may have somebody that crushes it and is just a person that gets things done and finds themselves not making the progress that they feel like they should because they haven't attached themselves to the visionary that has the great idea that they should be working inside of. And so back to, self-awareness, like which one are you? Like, are you a visionary that needs an operator, or are you an operator that needs a visionary?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to go back and listen.
I know.
And that's why I hope, man, if you see me on my phone, I'm not on my phone. I'm actually typing this down because I want to make sure that we don't miss anything in this conversation. Wow. That's one of the things I learned in discipline is putting it down so I don't, because I'm a visionary, right? And I'll have all kinds of things going through my head and from a creative standpoint. But I've learned that one of my areas I felt in discipline is putting it down on paper right then.
For sure.
Because to me, after a while, it gets boring and I just want to keep dreaming, on more things, right? So, but I wrote that down when you say operator or integrator, right? Mm-hmm. Because in being self-aware, I think that after you get to that point, the next step then is building your team. Yeah. Based upon what you see concerning yourself, right? For sure. Where you're lacking at, what you become aware of. And in you being a team leader and growth leader, can we talk a little bit more about that? I mean, because you kind of went into that, right? Building a team now is you're a visionary. You need somebody that's an operator is what you said, right?
Yeah. Well, operator or integrator. Or integrator. Yeah, they use those terms because they're taking all the things that I have and they're integrating that into systems that work. And Nadene and I were just talking about another tangent is that like we had systems in place to get to where we were and they were okay. They got us to where we were at, but they weren't the same systems that were going to take us from here to where we want to go. And so we're like rebuilding everything from the ground up this year. But as far as that stuff goes, I think the self-awareness thing is key. Figuring out who you are is key. But when you surround yourself with successful people, then you'll get a much better idea of where you fall. By look, like you don't want to copy other people's businesses, but when you can see what they do, you can start to pull some of that stuff off. I think one of the big problems that we have in our space is that people talk about how they're successful and they'll help you out when people that are actually successful don't ever really talk about it. Right. And that's,
so
that's the thing that I think is important too is being able to have identify who's, because you got to identify who's really real and who's not.
Yeah. So in a world like this right now, everything is just it's on display, right? And so it's really hard to tell who is real and who is fake, because there's just so much, not even misinformation, just people are putting out just false information about who they are. Well, so it's hard to tell. So how do you even be able to identify?
So it's funny. It's like I work with some amazing people. I work with a lot of great YouTube creators, and we were talking to one of them about how they want to build a course because they have all this great knowledge, and they did, and it didn't really do anything. And what you find out is it's not people who have the best course that sell a lot of courses. It's the people that are best at selling courses that sell a lot of courses, right? So people will sell a crappy course 1 million times, make $1 million. Somebody has a great course, but they're not good at selling courses. And so that's the problem. If somebody is selling you on how successful they are, I would question it. If somebody's selling you on why they should be your mentor, I would question it. Like the mentors that I have in my life,
you don't even know them. Like I would never know them.
But I had to dig. Right. I'd be like,
they didn't sell themselves like
that. No. Like I had to dig in. Like I had to be, inquisitive and like, hey, like tell me about your business. Like what's going on? Like I see you bought 8 houses last week. Like, like how'd you get started? Like they're not out there selling their course, right? They're out there doing it.
Right.
And so that's a big thing. I say that it's a big thing in building your team, because so much of the guidance I've gotten from hiring, so much of the guidance I've gotten in whether or not I should hire right now is the good time to bring the person on or who I needed. A lot of that has come from those relationships. Hey, I saw you hired so-and-so. Why'd you hire them? I'm thinking about hiring so-and-so. What do you think about that? But if you don't have that, if you have a sphere, right? Like it's tough.
Yeah. Wow.
We should get back to discipline. That's what we said.
No, but you know what? But this is good though, because I think that's part of it, right? I mean, you got to identify, because I was saying this earlier. If you're not careful, you can be disciplined at all the wrong things.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like you can, and you can also be consistent at all the wrong things. Yeah. So if you, and that can lead to a whole lot of frustration. Yeah. Especially
if you
a whole lot of nothing. I mean, at the end of the day, and so starting with being self-aware so that you can, because I'm big. I'm a John Maxwell certified trainer and coach. And so reading a lot of his materials, but in reading a lot of it right now.
Did you not know that before?
I did.
You need to pay attention to your management.
I know, right? I just a couple $1,000s later, right? But one of the things that I'm really in right now, man, is developing and building your team. Yeah. Because once again, you can be a creative. You can have all the ideas. You can have a lot of people around you, but if you don't have the right team in place, you can't be successful alone in that sense. It's going to take a team to do that. So being self-aware, getting to the point where you understand your strengths, your weaknesses, and then the gifts that are around you in other people. How do you add value to them? How do they add value to what you're doing? Yeah. I think that's a major part in developing the right disciplines, right? To get you to where you want to be.
Well, I wanted to add something too, because I just, even looking at Tim and even, the relationship I've seen you have with other people, the way even how we work together, I just feel like sometimes it doesn't even necessarily, the team just could be a great resource, right? Because I know I contact you all the time for random things, but even that, it helps build me from where I'm at. I've still been able to grow. We're not directly on the same team. Yeah. But I know I've been able to grow because of the knowledge that I've received and some of the things you've just shared with me, So
one of the things, I think I have 2 core values in my life, which are the things we do for others are the things that matter. And if you give more than you get, you'll get more than you can ever imagine. I haven't copyrighted those, so I better go into that. But my point is like Nadene calls, I'll help Nadene. I think Nadene is an awesome human being, right? Yes, and so I hope I help you whenever you need it, right? And the reason is I just have found in my life that the more I help people, the more our business grows. Yes. And that's a hard, tangible thing to do. And when I was broke and somebody would have said that, I would have said, well, man, I'm I don't know what you're talking about because I'm broke and that doesn't put food on the table, right? Mm-hmm. But in the long run, it does. And it's so hard to see that when you're not on that side of the fence. But I can tell you, if you just go all in on it and find out where you're helping people and just do more of it and figure out how to get by. We all have to get by, right? I mean, we were joking about the fact we went to Disney World this last year. Like, this was the first year so we could actually afford Disney World because our whole marriage, we've been broke and now we make way more money than we should. And so, but it all came from helping people. Like, I ran a 5 a.m. call for 5 years. Every morning at 5 a.m., I ran a 5-minute phone call and had like 40, 50 people on that thing who are all getting value from that. So we're circling back to our discipline discussion. Look, I won't wake up at 5 a.m. every morning by myself. It's not happening. So I made a phone call and I was like, hey, I'll be up at 5 a.m. every morning doing a 5-minute phone call, just talking about whatever. So what that did was that to put the accountability of other people on me. Yeah. If I said, hey, look, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning, the only person I'm accountable to is myself.
Right.
And that doesn't work. Yeah. Right. Because I told myself I wasn't going to eat my kids' Halloween candy, but here we are. And so when it was, hey, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. because there's going to be other people waiting for me on a phone call.
Now you got to get up at 5
I woke up at 5 a.m. for 5 years straight and ran a phone call, right? That's
even on holidays.
Even on holidays, yeah.
They're still on holidays.
I was like, Christmas Eve, I'm like, look, Santa's making presents. You can get up at 5, like whatever. But I had the accountability of other people. Even now, like Brett did that video of me at the gym. If I was going to go to the gym every morning, I wouldn't do it because I'm only accountable to myself. Right. But I have to go to a place where I know I have friends that are going to meet me at the gym, that are going to text me if I don't show up, because I have to have that accountability of other people for me to do that. And so building out those type of things is huge for me in all that discipline.
No, and that's another. Really so to me, then that's another important tip to building the discipline is how do you become accountable to other people? Right. Yeah. Especially those you're trying to add value to.
Yeah.
And, I want to say something too, man, because, you're kind of going back to the importance of like adding value and doing more for other people and how it came up or came back to you in the long run. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I hope, usually you go into entrepreneurship, right? People think you're thinking about yourself. You think about your family, think about how much money you can make. Mm-hmm. But what I am learning and even what I see from others is that if you're taking your gift, your passion, right? What you feel, your why, and you're asking, how can I add value to other people? Or what can I do for other people that will be valuable in their own sight, right?
Sure.
It's perspective. If you can take that perspective, it's like seed time and harvest, right? It's like a farmer's like, you may not see it right now, but over a period of time, if you invest in enough people, I think that the principle is it's going to come up, whether it comes up in the way of, actual dollars, or if it comes up in the way of other people's creativity or lending themselves to what you do or whatever, but it's going to come up.
So this is almost a bigger discussion on the influencer economy, where I remember I was doing the 5 a.m. call. I was doing my podcast and I went out to an event and somebody came up to me and they were like, I love your podcast and I'm on the 5 a.m. call every morning. I'm like, man, that's awesome because I'm putting time into it. You're listening to it. That's great. And he was like, so what's the angle? Like, are you selling t-shirts or like, what are you doing? Right? Like, why are you doing this? Like, there has to be a way that you're making money. And I'm like, no, I'm just doing it because people said they like it. I did an interview on Facebook Live. I guess it was 5 years ago now. And the next week, people, oh man, I love that interview you did. Said, well, people like it. I'm going to do more of it. And that's what I did is people like it. I'm going to do more of it. And we have a Facebook group, Real Estate, RETV, which is a Facebook group for real estate video. And I mean, it's like 9,000, 8,000 members. We pour a bunch of time and effort into that. We don't sell a course. We don't make any money from it. I just know it helps a lot of people. It builds community. Yeah. So we do it. And so what's that lead to? It leads to us having 1,000 agents by the end of the year. But if that was the intent, like if I said, hey, I'm going to do all this stuff with the intent of this is going to happen, I don't think it would have been successful. The intent was adding value. But back to the influencer economy, which is really interesting, is that we were just on our team call today, which is like a mastermind, and people are just talking about different stuff. And, somebody brought up the buy or die program, which for a real estate agent is a lead comes in and you call that person, right? The day they sign up, you call them the next day, you text them the next day, you leave them 4 voicemails. They're either going to buy with you or they're going to die. Like, I'm sorry. But from a marketing perspective, we see the Grant Cardone, the Wolf of Wall Street type, like hit the phones hard. I think our world is moving so quickly away from that.
Yes.
I know personally, I can only market to people in a way that I would want to be marketed to.
Right.
Yes.
Like, and I don't like getting cold called.
No.
I don't cold call. I don't. And what I find is we've built a business that attracts people into our business. And we've done that again, just by helping all these people. Right. Somebody calls me and they're like, hey, we've watched all your YouTube videos and everything. We really love what you do. Do you have time to help us? And it's that type of thing. An agent calls me and says, hey, I've been following all your stuff. I've been looking at everything you've been doing. Would you be open to working with me?
Right.
And I mean, my wife bought a rug from an influencer in North Carolina who like has all these pretty rugs all the time. And she was excited about the opportunity to buy a rug from this person. I've been in rug stores with my wife all the time. And she's like, man, nope. And the guy, get this, the guy comes over and he's like, that's a $900 rug. I'm like, Mom, we like it, but he's like, I can do $750. Then I'm like, oh, we'll do 4. He's like, I'll do 5. Like, my wife doesn't like it. We're out of here. Right. But it's like this whole negotiation, right? Because he's a sales guy selling a rug. Right. You think there was any price negotiation when my wife spent too much money on this rug?
No. Like how you said she just spent too much money.
And the thing is, she's messaging the person like, is it still available? Right? Can I still buy it? Please let me buy something from you. And it's because that person's she's been engaging with her following. She's been adding value in her way to her audience that people are excited about the opportunity
to purchase,
to work. So as an entrepreneur, that's what you have to look at is I can put together a sales funnel and I can try to trick people into buying my product, or I can add so much value into the world that people are just hoping for an opportunity to buy a product from me.
Wow.
That is really good.
Is really
perspective.
Good.
That's not perspective
definitely.
right there.
Definitely.
Goodness.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Man, and there's so, to me, I'm sitting here and like I said, I'm just putting it down. There's so much wisdom in this conversation because now we're talking about not only developing the right discipline, but with the right perspective.
Yes.
Because you can become disciplined, right, in funnel systems and all sales funnel systems and everything, trying to coerce, pressure people into. And what I've seen is that doesn't last very long. Then you got to come up with another scam another scheme, right, to try to do that.
Speak truth. Go ahead.
But if your focus is adding value, what I've seen in this world is there's something or there's someone you can always add value to, and there's something you can do to always help people. And when people feel like you're actually adding value to them, you're actually helping them with whatever you're presenting, you don't have to sell as hard. People are attracted to that, and that's what I'm hearing your wife, like they're attracted. So what we want to do, man, is we want to become disciplined at the right things.
Right. Absolutely.
So I will say what we're talking about is a much longer game. And that is why most people fail at it because it does.
Quick gratification.
Like I've built what I call my brand equity account by doing all the things that I've been doing for the real estate industry, for just the local community, for everything else. I built this brand equity account.
Right.
When I moved companies and said, hey, I'm doing this thing, that was me cashing that brand equity account check. And that was like, hey, listen, you're doing this thing. I'd love the opportunity to do it with you. And that's been a big driver in how we've grown. If I cashed that check too early, I wouldn't be here, And so that's the thing. I've been making $0 and 0 cents off a lot of the work that I've been doing while I've been building that, what I call brand equity account.
Yeah.
And then you come back and cash that check.
That was the plan all along.
No. There was no plan. That's the other thing. This whole idea of like, hey, you can be successful. I have the plan. I have the. It's all. It's. They're totally full of it. Like your plan has not been written, right? Like people want the roadmap to success. Your life is a movie. And when something great happens, it's the happy part of the movie. When something bad happens, it's the crappy part of the movie. But just know that it's your movie, and the crappy part's usually, followed by the redeeming, awesome part, and that's right around the corner. But this idea of success being this roadmap of, upward trajectory is just not true. Like you have to be doing the right thing, because doing the right thing is always the right thing. And then know that the right opportunities will come and then take advantage of them. But it's never a plan.
But you know what, Tim? And once again, I love it because we're really excavating this thought of discipline, because when you hear discipline, you also got to think time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like people want to be, I discipline. That means you're going to give me 5 steps. I do it. And then I'm going to be successful tomorrow or next, I'm going to be in a month. But it takes discipline to come into what you're after, you know what I'm saying? And fulfilling that purpose or your why, it's going to take discipline, which means it's going to take some patience. I mean, even building that brand equity, you're talking about account, man, you got to be patient at doing the right things for a period of time, letting that build up. And you'll know, to me, I think you'll know when you can cash it, when you get more people coming to you based upon or predicated upon the value that you've added, right? Or the things that you've done, you know what I'm saying, in the life of people. It's like, okay, now there's enough people out there that really believe in you as a person. And now you can take those steps to, take another step in another direction or whatever the case may be. But that, you said it too, there's no plan. Like it unfolds. Yeah, I think that's the beautiful
I was going to say that.
Life.
Yeah. And just knowing you as long as we have, and then just seeing you from place to place and journey to journey, just watching you, like even taking us in when you did and adding value to us and, pouring into us the way you did. And then just seeing you, like I said, in different journeys, no matter where you went, you know what I mean? Or who you were with, you allowed it to just unfold. And I just think that was just so powerful in watching you. And that's always been something that we have always been drawn to and admired with you. So, wow.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you, because now, I'm going to take this opportunity to kind of pick your brain.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So we're talking about discipline. You said one of the things that helps you remain disciplined is accountability. What is something else that helps you remain disciplined? So
I like big visual things. So we had it was 2016, we were business planning for 2017. And
say that one more time.
We were in 2016.
Okay.
Business planning for 2017.
Gotcha.
And as far as business planning goes, people always overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 5. We overestimate what we can do in a short time and underestimate what we can do in a long time. And so in 2016, I was just going back and forth on numbers. I'm like playing with numbers. Okay, if we do 50 deals and 10 of them come from here, like I'm playing with the numbers to try to figure out what an ambitious year looks like and what's reasonable but ambitious. I'm trying to put the numbers together. And then I got a vision. I said 20K a month by 2020 cash flow. And I don't want to say residual because people look at that as mailbox money.
I remember that.
Yeah, but I define it 20K a month by 2020, which is cash flow that I consider money that comes in with less than 4 hours a week of work. Because there's always something. People like to talk about the fact that residual is no work. There's always a level of work to it. So that was my thing. We had $0 a month in money coming in. So
I remember that because I think I was on your team then, and
we were looking at that
like what on my notepad. I was like, let me pack my stuff right now. I think I'm in the wrong business.
I remember that.
So, but you allowed us to kind of dream though.
Yeah.
But what I did with that is I didn't write it on my phone as something I wrote down. I printed it out. I put it up in our office. I put it in our house. So I saw it every day. And that kept me disciplined because like we said, you're going to feel great one week and you're going to feel bad one week. And you'll stay feeling bad for a long time if you let that happen. And you have to be able to have something up and visual and saying, no, I'm not getting sidetracked on this.
Yeah.
I see my goal. It's up here. This is what I'm doing. And so like even right now, we have a goal for how many agents we're going to bring on. And I've got this big thing. One of my friends made fun of me and said it looked like a 6th grade science fair project because it's this poster board with numbers on it. And it's big and it's a scoreboard and it's sitting up in front of me. So I can look at it every day to stay disciplined. Because look, it's funny listening to you guys say nice things about me because I have days where I feel like I don't get anything done and I feel very unproductive. And that's a spiral because if you have an unproductive day, it's easy to have another unproductive day and another one. But if you have your 5 a.m. call, if you have your scoreboard, something big and visual that reminds you of the goals you're chasing, for me, that's been a great way to stay disciplined and keep moving forward towards those things. But if they're just notes in your cell phone, they're easy to lose track of.
Yeah.
So
but I still have that 20K on my
20K,
in my
that was
phone.
a good one.
Yeah,
And,
I can pull it up
for the record. I did not reach 20K a month by 2020. My average 4 months in 2020 was 17,000 a month. Right, so it's okay to fail. But if I didn't set that goal,
but you progress though.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? And this is my thing. And I want to say that too in discipline because, you know, no matter what you're trying to do, say whether it's you're trying to get your health together or whatever, part of what discipline does is it makes sure that you're not in the same place you were when you started.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So you didn't reach that, but I would take 17K.
Yeah,
over that
that's
over
right.
Zero.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And your what you made visual, you know, and that's what I wrote down. You know, what you want to accomplish must be visual because it will help lead you out of that space, out of that place. It just can't remain in your phone.
Yeah.
Right.
Good tip.
But again, that was a 3 or 4 year vision. And so you can have, like, I love the idea of 90-day plans. Like, what am I, attacking the year in quarters and not necessarily a whole year. My new business coach is making me do a full year and it's frustrating for me, but I love quarters because I get to the end of the quarter. I'm like, okay, we did this. You know, what are the next things I need to do to pursue a 4 or 5 year vision?
Right.
You know, like taking things 90 days at a time while you pursue a big 5 year vision. Because a 1 year plan, a lot of times, like, look, you know, if you did a 2020 business plan, life was a lot different in January of 2020 than it was in October, right? Or March. Yeah. So,
especially in real estate. Ridiculous.
So that's why, again, and that's the other thing too. You write your vision in ink. You don't change your vision. Your vision's your vision, but everything else is in pencil. We talk about the plan. Like, you have to go hard and adapt and learn and progress and be disciplined and change the plan to get to the vision. The vision's the only thing that we write in ink.
Wow.
And I like that because it kind of goes back to what we were saying, unfolding.
Yeah.
You know, because you got the vision, but you don't have all the clarity, you know, or details. You know what you want to do, but what it's going to look like, right? So like you said, you may have the 20K a month, then 2020 hit March, you got to start making those adjustments.
Yeah.
But as you make the adjustments, you stay consistent with what you're doing, it starts to unfold, you know?
Well, I thought we would have a bunch of single family houses. That was going to be my 20K a month.
You know what? I was just thinking now. I was just about to ask you, because when we first started, you were doing a lot more investment real estate.
Yep.
Was that the same vision, like in that time?
So
what was your vision?
Like I said, the vision was 20K a month by 2020. Single family rentals at the time was how I thought I was going to get there, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
But what it ended up being was revenue share through growing the brokerage and Airbnb.
Yeah.
So the vision stayed the same, but the plan to get there
unfolded
changed.
Yeah.
But the other thing I'll say too, which I think is has been very impactful for me, is I've watched other people that I didn't think should do better than me and get mad about it. I don't know if that rings true with anybody, but it's easy to, because you have to surround yourself with people. You have to know what's going on. You have to like be connected and networked, and you're going to see other people succeed and be mad about it. And I lost Yeah, and I lost a lot of time and focus in my life.
In the comparison.
Being mad about something or comparing my life to somebody else's. And that's a big thing is, you know, like, honestly, I step back and I have a great life. Like, I've got a great family. We just moved into a great house. Like, I have everything I need. And I can't believe that I still catch myself.
Yeah.
Look at, you know what I mean? Like,
and over the fence.
And that's
a big thing.
It's a very big thing. I'm big on that. Even, you know, when I'm sharing our church, like, man, and I'm saying it because even from what I'm learning, you can waste a lot of time watching other people.
Yeah.
That's good.
You know, especially with the social media now.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm doing that, they're doing. And, you know, I realized, like, man, that comparison, it can be a big, not only a motivating killer, right? That kills your motivation, but it can disrupt your disciplines.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
Yeah.
and then here you are again. Now you're no longer moving forward.
Yeah.
And then you're getting kind of sour and bitter because somebody else is being successful.
Yeah.
Or if you change up your things and how you've done it because you're trying to model somebody else.
Yep.
And now you're that consistent. You're being consistent doing nothing. Nothing you're supposed to be
But
doing.
the wrong things.
But I look back at some of the opportunities that I lost that I was like just broken about, right? Like, I can't believe that didn't work out for me. Like, I had it. It was mine. I should have had it. I put in the work. I made the connection. I did the thing. I should have had it. I didn't get it. Poor me. I look back on it. If some of those things had worked out, I would not be where I'm at today. And where I'm at today is much better than I would have been if that had worked out. And so that's the big thing. But one of the things that you mentioned too that I think about and I tell people about is the real estate of your mind.
Yes.
And we get a text, and text messages are funny because you read them a certain way without context to it, right? And you misinterpret things. That's why I send a lot of video messages. I'll be like, hey, the offer didn't get accepted, but you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of tough messages that you text and they come across wrong. And you, as a person that's getting texts, are reading it and like, what do they mean by that?
Right. Yeah.
You know? And I choose to text Brett and him not text me back because he's big time. And if he doesn't, like, I'm not going to be like, why didn't he text me back? I'm like, look, Brett's probably busy.
Yeah.
Right? You know, look, maybe Brett has a problem with me, doesn't like me, and that's why he didn't text me back. But I can tell you what, having that thought in my head takes up real estate in my mind. Saying like, hey, he didn't get back to me. He's probably busy. It's just a better way to go about life. Right. And for me, I've held a lot of the stuff that like my father said to me growing up, or like things I had with family that like upset me, or it's like, look, it's not worth taking up real estate in my mind. Wow. And you got to get rid of it. And so I think taking an audit of what are the things that take up space in your mind and say, what do I need to get rid of? Right. And then once you get rid of that, you talk about discipline. What are you going to fill it with instead? Like we had a family member that was very close to us, and it just got to the point where it's like, it's not worth the real estate in my mind. We're not going to have this relationship anymore here because I have to focus on other things. And one of the things about being someone that wants to help is that we want to help everyone.
Everybody.
Yeah.
But if you are letting people take up that real estate in your mind, taking up that space in your mind, you're not going to help as many people. Right. And you're letting that person take up space in your mind because you want to help them. Yeah. But if they're detracting from what you're doing, you got to cut it out so you can go help more people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, tell me I'm a pastor.
Right.
No, man. I think
you guys have a lot of mental real estate up there.
Yeah. No, and I think that's powerful in what we're talking about because it's slow. It will bring you to a halt.
Yeah.
You know, it will. I was just sharing that, you know, your mental real estate, that's the most important aspect of who you are because your ideas, your creativity, how you add value, you know, comes through that. And if you're not careful on what you allow in there and just to take up storage and space, it will drain you, you know, like I said, it'll rob you of your motivation, your desire. And now you're not disciplined anymore. You know, it goes back to that same place. You know, you find, and that can be very frustrating because to me, that's one of the greatest frustrations. And that will cause you to start comparing yourself again and looking around like, man, why do I, So what you said, man, you have to really audit what's there.
Good.
That's good.
So we had talked about the influencer economy, which I am huge on. I think it's only going to grow. It's only going to get more powerful. But the biggest influence or the biggest power to influence is the one to control the 6 inches between your ears, right? Like if you can influence yourself and you can influence your own mind, like that is really what can empower you to do big things. And so we're so worried about how we're perceived in other people's minds and not spending enough time controlling our own.
Definitely.
I mean, the idea
right there.
And again, like I find it interesting because if you would have told me 5 years ago where we would be where we're at now, I would assume we don't have any problems. Right. Because we surpassed all our goals. I'm like, life must just be rainbows and butterflies, stress free. You must have no problems because you accomplished everything you said we were going to. But I think the entrepreneur goals, the financial goals, all that stuff are just numbers in a account or, pieces of paper with words on them. The biggest thing you can achieve is that peace in your mind. Yeah. And we talk about, I'm an American and like the pursuit of happiness, but the pursuit of happiness is a flawed idea because if you're pursuing being happy, what happens after?
Right.
Right. And the biggest thing we can do, I think this goes back to discipline. The biggest thing we can do is be at peace.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I just went to Disney World, spent way too much money, and I was happy. Like it was,
but it was
right. But if I'm at peace, I find happiness in a sunset.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I find happiness in just the things that are around me. And what happens is I'm like I said, I'm blessed to be around a lot of successful people. I'm in this real estate industry. I've made great connections with great people, and you'll see people that have depression when they have all the things that you're striving for.
Yeah,
right. And so those are just things.
Right.
And unless you really nail down that 6 inches between your ears and really get your mind right. I can tell you're chasing stuff that's just not going to bring you what you think it's going to bring you.
Yeah.
Damn, that's so good.
That's the why thing, because I remember you had us write that down. Remember, we had such a hard time writing down our why.
Why are you doing it? Yeah.
Why?
I was the best student.
I don't know if she was the best student. Jeez. No, but that why, that, that what's being able to know what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Not for the monetary gain. That stuff comes later, but if you know why you're doing it. And I'm so thankful that you had me nail that down 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Because whenever there were times where I got sidetracked. I got caught up in the Senate comparison. But being able to remember my why got me right back on track. It centered me and it got me focused again. Back disciplined and going back to consistency.
Nadene, that's interesting because, like you said, why you're doing it. I think even when you answer that question, you can discover whether you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Right.
Yeah. Why? If it's, I'll make a lot of money. Well, okay, if that is the case, which I get it, we do. Yeah. But then that could lead to a lot of other things. Yeah. That now you have all this stuff, but why am I not happy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Like, why am I still depressed?
There is a lot of truth to more money, more problems.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely.
That ain't it.
But what's dope though is,
but money solves problems. Like I'm not.
No, it's the answer to all things.
Yeah.
But I think what you have to have is you got to have the peace first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you do have peace before you got it, when you get it, that didn't bring it to me. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, because at the end of the day, if my goal is I want to make the greatest impact and add value to the life of people, from a perspective standpoint, you can look at that and say, well, wait a minute. I've been adding value to people and making an impact before I had this or before that, right? So if I get there, great. If I don't, well, I'm still fulfilling my why.
Yeah.
You know, and I can be at peace with that. Now, of course, you know, we want to advance, and of course, you want to make the best living that you can. I just think that the danger in it is if you don't know your why and have the right why, right? The right reasons. Once again, you can become disciplined at all the wrong things. And I think that you'll still have what you put into it. Yeah. Even if it's nothing.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You'll have it.
I can tell you, man, there's a lot of, there's a lot of people working in orphanages in Haiti right now that have nothing. Right. That are a lot happier than a lot of people over here.
Yes.
You know, and that's where, I mean, I don't know what the statistic is, but it's something like, I don't know, $95,000 a year. So there's some salary that they found. Once you bring in that amount of money, your happiness doesn't really go up because all your needs are met. Everything's met. And after that, it's just stuff. Yeah. And so the more, I think I'm more focused on this idea of peace over happiness a lot. Yeah. Lately, as we hit more success, and I realize that success and happiness don't go together.
Yes.
Right? And so I'm like, wait a second, what am I really striving for here? And so, I mean, I think the earlier you can dig into that,
that's good.
The more it's going to help you along that journey. Right. And look, it's a journey.
Yes.
Yeah. It's going to suck sometimes. Like, there's no other way to put it.
Yeah.
So don't get caught up in the social media stuff that makes it look like it's all great all the time. And I'm a culprit of that. You guys watch me on social media. It's all great all the time, right? I try to be positive all the time. I try to put that into the world, but it's not all great all the time. And if it's not great for you, it's normal. One of the big things that I had with depression and different stuff throughout life was I talked to a psychiatrist, or I was like 16 at the time or something, and he was like, all right, so what are we here to talk about? And I'm like, man, I don't know. I'm depressed. I feel, whatever. And I've dealt with this my whole life. And one of the biggest things that he told me, he was like, I talk to people all day, and there's 6 of us that work in this office, and we have full schedules. Like, everybody goes through this. Right. And the thing is, when you hit that rock bottom, or something goes wrong, or you're not doing well, you feel alone. It's very lonely. And one of the empowering things for me is I have to remember is that everybody goes through this.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the journey that everybody goes through, and that helps me get on the bandwagon, back on the wagon.
Yeah, it puts things in perspective, right? Yeah. And I think that's so important, because when things happen, you do feel like, oh man, I'm the only one this is happening to. Yeah, like I must suck. You know what I'm saying? Like it's what am I doing wrong? You know what I'm saying? Like me, and
why are you vibing so much right now?
Because I'm going through this, and that's why I'm just like, man, this is like the best podcast ever, because I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you, and it's just so keep going. Yeah.
Well, because what I was going to say is, I think too, we have to establish the mindset to be disciplined in the journey. Yeah. It's a journey. Perspective. So if I know this journey, right, I'm excited. Oh, I'm gonna be a creative. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm doing business. I'm growing. I'm advanced. I'm gonna be successful. But if I have the perspective that, look, I'm going to be challenged in this journey. I may fail, but it isn't necessarily I'm a failure, right? I just don't have to quit. Like, and guess what? The person next to me is going to go through some of the same things. The person I'm looking at that I often find myself comparing myself to, they fail too, or they're having a tough journey too. So if I can have the right perspective and be disciplined enough to just, man, and this is where I was telling them, I'm learning, man, one of the biggest things that God is challenging me right now in my personal life is he told me, start with small things and be consistent. Yeah. That's it. Just be consistent. Even when you don't feel like it, even when it's tough, even when you just be consistent and just trust me through the process. It's a journey. It's going to be tough. You don't know, how life's going to hit, but just whatever you do, don't feel like you're by yourself. Just keep being consistent at the small things. And before long, you'll look at it and you'll be like, wow, I'm a little further along than what I was, or I made it through the storm and I didn't think I was going to make it. Yeah. Right. If we don't, and to me, that was developing even discipline in that, recovering in the journey, last year around this time was one of probably the most difficult times of my life, losing my mother. you know, because she was my mom, of course, but she was with God, paired us together in this journey. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what am I going to do now? Like, man, and it was days I get up, I tell my wife, I was like, man, this sucks.
You know, it's funny you say that. I started the 5M Club after my father died. And it was the same thing. Like, you know, I had a interesting relationship with my father. At the end of the day, if I had something I needed advice on, I always called him. Like he was, you know what I mean? He was my guy that always had great advice. And that's when I started the 5M call. Literally, a friend of mine called me and was like, hey, we got this 5am call thing. I don't know if you want to do it. We're on the East Coast because that's where we're from. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I was literally on that call, the first one, the day of his funeral. And then I went back to Texas and I was like, that was great. Then I need to keep that going for myself. So I started a 5am club for my time zone. But we watched Seth Godin at a conference, who's a brilliant guy. He's written a ton of books and he's just super, I mean, he's just a great writer, great speaker. And, you know, I've become a pretty good speaker. I'm talking about stuff. I get good at talking about things. And one of the things that he asked him was like, Seth, like, you're a great writer. How does somebody build that talent? You know, because I'm not a great writer.
Right.
He said, I write every single day. Every single day he writes something. And what I realized was with the 5am Club stuff, I was speaking every single day. Every single morning, I had to come up with something. I had to go talk about it. And now I'm just a way better speaker. If the real estate market crashes tomorrow and the company I work for goes under and everything falls apart, I've built these talents that I can take. They are not, some of it maybe, but they're not natural talents.
Right.
I've developed them.
Wow.
And so like, what talents are your disciplines developing?
Wow,
and so
even
I love the gym.
Yes.
I love fitness. I think it's an important habit. I don't look like it. I know I'm not. But you know, the thing though, when I see some of my friends get super addicted to fitness and that is their passion beyond being in great shape and being shredded and all that other stuff, what's the tangible thing that discipline is taking with you? Right? Like Seth Godin writes every single day. He's now a great writer. He can literally go wherever he wants with that talent.
Right.
What talents are your disciplines developing?
That's good.
Like being able to talk to people and call people all the time is an important discipline. And so that's what I would encourage you to do is you have to enjoy things. Like you can't do things you don't enjoy. Like I get it, but focus on disciplines that create talents that you can take anywhere. Cause you may want to start a t-shirt company. And so I look at Brett's making a video every day. Doesn't matter what it is. You know, he's got nothing to film. He literally is making a story, like with shadow puppets in his bedroom. I don't know. I'm totally making things up.
He actually has done that before.
Right, likely. My point is, it doesn't matter. He'll figure out a way to make a video every day. And then when he makes and creates these beautiful, magnificent things, you're like, how, like what course did you take, right? What easy shortcut to success did you have that made this magnificent, artistic, beautiful video? Nope. And the answer is none. Like you have to just put in the work.
You got to be consistent.
But be knowledgeable and but like what you're saying, have thought behind the work that you're putting in every day.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, this is so much. I need a recap. So first it was.
That's why you write it down.
Really good.
Oh my gosh.
You'll watch it when we post it.
Rewatch it.
But it was being accountable to others.
Right. We talked about operator, integrator.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, visionary integrator.
Visionary
integrator.
Integrator, right? Building your team, right?
Not comparing yourself to others.
Accountability
Huge.
to others.
Yeah. Be in control of the real estate in your mind.
Yes.
And what was the last one that was just so powerful? You wrote it down.
Oh, discipline that develops character. I mean,
follow me on YouTube.
Yeah.
That was it.
Amazing, man. Yeah.
So look, man, this has been great, man. Tim, we're gonna have you on again, man. You know, as much as you'll come because this is adding value. You know, it's adding value to people, and my heart's desire, my prayer is that whoever's listening to this, man, that you're going back, you are writing these things down. You know, you're finding different disciplines, different things that you can do that you put in place that's going to help you develop. And I love what you just said, Wendy, like you're being consistent or developing the right disciplines. If you're consistent in that, it will eventually yield a fruit, right?
Yeah.
That you have that now you can be more versed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
For
you
sure.
can be more versed in this world. And I think that's powerful. But if you don't, because I'm big on potential. I'm big on untapped potential.
I worked at a nightclub. It's not my career.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I sat there as a doorman and tried to talk people down every night. Like dudes wanted to, hit me or whatever.
Right.
This was after the military?
Before. And so I spent my every night talking to people. I use a lot of those skills today when I'm talking to people. Mm-hmm. I went into the military. I was in for 7 years and I went to do pararescue, which is like the special operations thing. I failed, right? 5 weeks. I made it into the 9-week program there. I failed. But that training, that experience helped me. I worked for an LED startup. I failed. I learned a lot working for that LED startup. I failed my face off in real estate. And that's one of the things is go out and do and fail. But just keep, if I went out, if I worked at a nightclub, which I never wanted to do, right? I just like, my buddy was like, hey, I'm working at this place. I'm like, man, I need a job. And if I had just stood on the side and punched the clock and left, I don't care if you're working fast food. You know, if you're working fast food, go work for Chick-fil-A. I'm sure you will learn a lot about how to run a business. Like it doesn't matter what you're doing. I started mowing lawns. That was my first job in real estate. But the difference between me and the guy I was mowing lawns with is the guy I was mowing lawns with was there to make a check to pay his bills. I was looking at these rental properties that these guys owned, and I was like, yep, I'm starting from the ground up. That's going to be me one day. I wonder how they run them. I wonder what the cap rate is on this thing. I'm listening to like Bigger Pockets podcast while I'm mowing the lawns. Right. That's the difference.
But you know what? You said it. Absolutely. You said fail, but I had made a post about this the other day on my Instagram. Losses that become lessons can translate into wins. And so you may look at it like, oh, you know, I did this and I failed. No, you learned. You know, oh, I did this and I failed. No, you learned. Now that's a matter of perspective, because somebody can look at it and be like, oh man, I failed, you know, and then just give up. But if you can learn something from what you tried, how can I now use that? Because that's something you didn't know. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? You were just it was 9 weeks, but you was in school for 5 or 4 or however long you went. But you learned something that you did not know before. Right. Yeah. And now you're able to take that. You're working at the nightclub, talking people down, right? Okay, it's not, but I learned a lot from that experience. And I think that part of building a discipline is, can you inventory your life enough and look at things and say, wait a minute, I can look at this as a negative, right? Or I can see did I learn anything from this? Yeah. And if so, now this becomes something that can really, can propel me forward later on in life.
I think we've all been in the workplace or been in life where we know people that are working and they're just punching the clock. Right. And that's my thing. It doesn't matter where you are in life. There is opportunity in every point where you are in life. Like there's always opportunity, and there's people that are going to seek that opportunity. And a lot of that has to go with, that's why I talked about that negative mindset. Cause if you're looking at like, oh man, well, my boss sucks and he only likes so-and-so, and like that mentality will never find opportunity. Right. And that's where you got to have that positive mindset and always be that person looking for opportunity, no matter where you're at. Like if I was working at USA, I'd want to know, how do I get up to the dude that's like the CEO, right? How do I get on his radar? Once I get on his radar, how do I help him out? And how do I add value to him? And then how do I get him to like teach me something? Right. There's opportunity everywhere.
Yes.
That's good. I think so many of us too, we look for it to be given to us and don't look for that opportunity.
Never given. Never given. Yeah.
So look, man, listen.
No, you're trying to wrap up. My bad.
Yeah. No. We're good.
We just keep going.
But I'm hoping Brett's like, come on. Right. But like I said, I mean, even from all of this, one thing I've heard is perspective. Discipline too is a matter of perspective. And so, you know, my hope once again is that anybody, if you're listening to this, man, and that you're empowered by what we shared, what we talked about, there's enough principles here, enough disciplines, things that you can put into play that will really help develop, right? A talent that will help you establish the right kind of disciplines, put you in position to be further than what you were before.
Yes.
So look, Fuel Network, we pray that we fueled you, right?
Yes.
We gave you something, man.
I was fueled.
Thanks, Tim.
I just love being here. You guys are
Tim added
ton of
so
fun.
much value to this
value.
conversation, this discussion. And we're going to do it again, man. We're going to do it again.
Let's do it.
All right. Hey, look, man, we love y'all, man. Be blessed. And we'll see you next time on the Fuel Show. God bless.